Welcome to this video, which is going to explain Project Mariana and our new methodology for implementing the modern software factory. I'm going to be joined by Stephen Miles, our CTO, and Mark Bennett, our Head of Services. And over the next few minutes, we're going to explain to you exactly what is this new methodology, the origins of the new methodology, and how we're going to take it out to our customers. As you know, Project Mariana was formed in APJ about 6 months ago. Discussions about how do we make the modern software factory real. And we brought in experts from around the world in order to create this methodology and create a number of different deliverables. And as I say, Stephen and Mark are going to explain exactly what these are in detail. We launched this to our customers at the APJ lunch at CA World, and it was incredibly well received. So essentially, what we did was we articulated not only the modern software factory concepts in detail, which obviously they'd heard a lot about during CA World, but also the detail of how we can make this real. The first step in the process of implementing the modern software factory being the future state workshop, essentially a planning workshop to understand exactly the art of the possible, if you like. So we're incredibly excited that this global methodology and this global rollout is being piloted in APJ. It plays to the innovation and the thought leadership that the team has demonstrated. And as I say, shortly Stephen and Mark are going to take you through this. The call to action is really clear. We need to take this to our customers. We have the resources capable of delivering the modern software factory future state workshop. We need to take this to our customers, and we need to get those first customer wins under our belt. So that's the call to action. And after you've seen what Stephen and Mark have to say, I think you'll find that this is an incredibly compelling value proposition for our customers to benefit from our technology and to drive their own digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. You know, when we think about digital transformation, it's important to understand that every customer is on some form of digital journey. It's not a passing fad, it's not a phase, it is an imperative for every single organization. There are no exceptions. Companies are either born native or striving to digitally reinvent themselves. The thing is, there's no best practices out there. There's no rule book to follow. Everybody wants to put the customer now at the heart of their business, to be a software company, and essentially ensure their company is built to change. As Jack Welch famously quipped, if change externally is greater than the rate of change internally, then clearly the end is near. The imperative is clear. Every business needs to be built to change. When we think about building real software companies that are built to change, it's important to understand that we're going to go through different stages of maturity in our digital journey. From those one-off digital programs and projects where the majority of the world starts today, to thinking about reaching new market segments or perhaps delivering a service around a new line of business, right through to thinking about what that rich experience looks like across the entire customer journey. And to those who are really thinking about a full-blown digital transformation, transforming their business from top to bottom. Because one thing is clear, the leaders that stand out, that are different today, that we look up to and admire and prize and recognize, they just do things differently. They break out into broad new ecosystems of value. They believe in new business models. They prize innovation. They believe in reinvention. And they're very quick to let stuff go that doesn't make sense, to let someone else perhaps do it who can do it better. In short, leaders don't build a digital strategy. They digitize their entire business strategy. We recently conducted a global software study that tried to look at where customers are on their digital journey. What we focused on was trying to identify the areas which they thought were the highest priorities of where they need to be investing their time, energy, and focus. And it was interesting that the top 5 results that we got back all called out things like improving quality, building security in earlier, continuously releasing software with great value and relevance, testing early and often, and building things that our customers actually want, not necessarily what we have. So it was clear that these were identified as priorities. Yet interestingly, look at how they felt about their current degree of readiness, and there's a big gap. So the opportunity is clear. So why is there such a chasm between where companies desire to be and know they need to be versus the reality of where they are today? There is clearly no shortage of good ideas, but their ability to execute upon them is the biggest challenge. Because the vast majority of companies still have a very traditional approach, despite having digital products and services on offer. Traditional companies are busy sharing new ideas for new digital service offerings with their customers, but because they're not a truly agile business, they end up delivering new digital products and services that fall short of customers' expectation. It doesn't match the promise of the original idea. So why is this? It breaks into a few areas. Number one, we tend to use tooling rather than technology platforms. Tooling constrains us, tooling works in silos. Tooling was really designed around being efficient, optimizing, reporting, informing. We need more intelligence, giving us rich, deep insights into how customers feel about our products and services. Secondly, processes. Whilst a lot of people do agile in development today, they're not truly agile businesses end to end. When we think about processes, everybody's doing agile in development, but crucially, they're not an agile business. The challenge is that you spend a lot of time doing cool stuff in development, building things quickly and iteratively with customers, but if that doesn't align to the business strategy and how you plan and fund and resource all aspects of your business, then you're going to slow your business down to the speed of the slowest common denominator, your legacy practices. Traditional companies are also wed to heritage, legacy architectures and systems that, whilst reliable, constrain change. Using API technology, you can help to create secured tunneled experiences through those constrained systems to ease the burden on delivering new digital mobile applications and experiences to users. But it will only get you so far. Unless you can deliver a truly agile architecture, you will essentially speed up in some areas of your business, only to slow down in others. Bottom line is, it's pointless. Innovation today is essentially an event. We love the idea of hackathons. But how do you take the best ideas and get them into the hands of your customers quickly, iterate, refine, industrialize the best ideas, and get them into production as fast as possible? You know what? The reality is that our customers' competitors are working 24/7, 365 days a year to disrupt our customers' business. So unless we're equipping and providing them with a continuous capability, they're going to be constrained and they're going to be unable to get the best ideas into the hands of their customers, which is the secret sauce to their competitive advantage moving forward. Partnering is all about building rich new ecosystems of value, but it's a challenge for most traditional companies. Most focused on a runtime integration experience with pre-existing services, but have no real ability to co-create and build dynamic new services of incredible value. Additionally, many of those new technology partners that we want to work with, they're using more modern systems and architectures. And so if we can't work at the same rate of speed and change that they can, again, we're going to be slowing them down. And if we're slowing them down, we're going to reduce the appeal that we have to them as a business in terms of building that ecosystem of value. Finally, let's talk about trust. Security today for most companies tends to be very perimeter-centric, intrusive, pretty static, inflexible, and woefully inadequate for a dynamic, secure experience that is frictionless and joyful for consumers of our customers' business. Furthermore, there's a dramatic increase in privileged users who need access to systems, and it's a good thing. And when you think about those ecosystems of value that you're now building, having people come in and touch systems, but in a secure, risk-free way, is going to be important for all businesses. Finally, we need to think about the implications around the proliferation of how we build new applications and services. If we're going to partner with more people to collaboratively build them in a wider context, then we're clearly going to need to think about how safe some of those applications are that we're building. Have we removed the vulnerabilities that may exist in that code, because we're responsible for delivering that to the market and ultimately the compliance and the viability of that as a service. Digital leaders, on the other hand, are quite different. They've moved away from tooling, they've moved to technology platforms, deployed at the earliest opportunity, garnering rich, deep information from the deployed applications and services, and using it to provide empirical data and insights back to customers to help fuel that iteration refinement process that's so important for building applications that our customers really want. Secondly, from a process standpoint, they don't just do Agile, these companies are Agile, unifying strategy, portfolio, and execution in a common cadence. And these companies can pivot and shift very quickly to provide precisely what their customers want. When we think about architecture, digital leaders have moved to a fully modern cloud-native architectures, leveraging containers, microservices. They've also extended API management through the maturity cycles in order that they can form a part of their new digital architecture. Innovation is no longer an event, but a continuous capability that drives rapid deployment and gets the customer involved early and intimately around designing those really great, cool new services. When we think about partnering, they're already building rich new ecosystems of value that not only enable them to unbundle and let go of stuff that they don't do so well, but enabling them to think about constructing new applications and services that offer new value, that get into new markets and deliver new capabilities to customers. In short, providing means to quickly build that unfair advantage that makes the difference in your business. And finally, trust. As we build these new partnerships, expand our ecosystem of value, co-create, collaborate with third parties to build exciting new applications and services, it's important that we don't put the business at risk. Trust also requires that our vibrant new application-driven business and the myriad of co-created partnerships that support it are able to come together in a clean and a safe way, and that the code that we're delivering and are responsible for as a business is free of vulnerabilities. Digital leaders, therefore, don't just behave differently, they are built differently. And they expect to be able to pivot and shift to either change or modify an existing product or service, or conceive a new one that precisely meets the requirements of their customer. Because markets are completely liquid and there are no lock-ins, customers will just switch their business from traditional businesses to digital leaders because the experience is just so much better. So it's clear, to be a leader in the digital age, you're going to need to be a truly agile business. And that's where the Modern Software Factory comes into its own, giving you the ability to think about informed agility, using those technology platforms, embedded intelligence, delivering those rich insights. Having an agile, composable architecture that isn't fragile, that can respond to change and can help us implement the business logic and value that are critical on those key applications and services. Agile innovation helps us to think about making innovation less of an event and more of a continuous capability. It is the innovation and the execution of that innovation that makes a business different, that gives it competitive leadership and differentiation in the marketplace. Ecosystem agility means I can now not only participate, but I can adapt and change my systems and my processes and architectures to run at the same speed as the partners that I'm looking to attract and do business with. And trust agility talks to this whole dynamic of having a safe, risk-averse business, a compliant business, yet providing a rich experience that's joyful, dynamic, and flexible. Now that we understand the priorities of what each and every modern business needs to focus on, it's clear that when you look at CA's portfolio across security, agility, automation, and insights, that we provide the complete capability to help our customers undergo this urgent and much needed transformation. The modern software factory that our customers need to build equips them to be built to change. By focusing on these key capabilities, you are now able to impact the major pillars that an adaptive modern business needs to finally put their customer at the center of their business. To ensure we meet the desired outcomes associated with being a truly agile business, CA is able to offer products and solutions that give unique capability and value. Whilst we don't have time to detail them today, they support the priorities around creating a truly agile business, building better apps faster, making security a competitive advantage, and maximizing application performance. And even though it's early days, we already have many customers globally and regionally investing with CA to build their modern software factory. We've all heard about Netflix. Netflix uses Atomic to make sure that their market differentiating recommendation engine simply works in a highly automated and efficient way. PayPal has built a truly agile business using various parts of our product portfolio to perform a complete agile transformation. More closer to home, the State Bank of India, one of the largest banks in the world, have powered their entire continuous innovation vision with various products from our broader DevOps portfolio. In fact, they like the modern software factory strategy so much that they adopted the term to describe their own initiative and use it to drive an improved brand both internally and externally. ANA achieved a competitive advantage in a highly competitive airline business by placing the customer truly at the center of their business. By using many solution areas from CA's modern software factory blueprint, they were able to make it count in terms of market leadership and business growth. And finally, Service New South Wales, a great example of a government entity under pressure to improve services to the citizens, using CA's API lifecycle management to create a rapid new range of digital services, leveraging and bypassing the constraints which typically slow them down in order to get the services and products to market quickly. So how can we take this incredibly exciting capability that clearly is going to change the game for every single one of our customers? How can we deliver this quickly, expediently, derive quick value, and help companies really champion this in their business? I'm going to now hand over to Mark, who's going to take you through how CA services can help you achieve and build your modern software factory.
Thank you, Stephen. So as you've heard, the modern software factory is a wonderful, wonderful story. And you've heard a lot about the why today. What I'm going to turn to now is the how. How do we help customers realize the true potential, the true value of going on a modern software factory journey? And just before I get into some of the process and methodology that we've developed on the how, I want to talk to you about three things. The first one is the idea of a journey. You see, the modern software factory itself is a framework for a journey. It's not an end destination. It's constant. What CA has done a wonderful job of with the modern software factory metaphor is take a very complex topic and boil it down into a simple abstract that people can understand. We are talking to customers about realizing the value of being on a journey that is the modern software factory. And the more you progress on that journey, the more that value starts to become material inside your organization. The second thing I want to talk to you about is the simple fact that there is no SKU for the modern software factory. The good news from a services point of view, there's no multi-year, multi-million-dollar implementation project either. We don't sell a modern software factory, and we don't go build a modern software factory. The modern software factory consists of a lot of moving parts and pieces, from technology components to process components to organizational models to third-party apps to different service providers. All of it comes together into a very powerful narrative that can help our customer visualize and then begin to realize the modern software factory. And the final thing I want to tell you about today, which I'm the most excited about, is that every single one of our customers is already on this journey. None of them are waiting to start. Some of them are well along the journey. Others are in the middle of it and have no idea where they are. And some of them are just trying to figure out, where am I right now? And the process that we're going to talk about today on that third point is helping customers to understand where they are on the journey. What are they trying to achieve at a business level? And how can the modern software factory construct help them focus, help them address the technology, process, organizational model needs that they have, and help them execute on those to be able to speed up that journey and to be able to bring forward the full power of what CA has put together in the modern software factory. So let's take a look at what that process looks like. Well, we've spent a lot of time pulling together some of the biggest brains in CA. We called it a workshop. We put them in a room for a few days, and we came up with a methodology that uses an agile approach to take a look at where's a customer today, how do we understand their business imperatives, and how do we help them go on a journey that can quickly identify things that CA can help them with to give them some immediate return on business value. If we take a look at the process, it's broken into 3 clear stages. The first stage we call advisory. The second stage we call distillery. And the third stage we call insights. What you'll notice as you look at that diagram is that this is a continuous process, not a static process. This is not a start, middle, end. This is an ongoing evolution of a customer's journey to fulfill business value. Today I will talk to you a little bit about what sits inside each of those 3 stages. But before I do, a little bit more on the bigger process. The goal of building a modern software factory for a customer is to help them realize change in a meaningful way that helps them take ideas to outcomes, build better applications faster, become software companies, embrace the digital economy that they're now working within. All these messages that we've been talking about for several years now, coming together in an actual construct which we can help them realize. Now, the key is the modern software factory journey and the modern software factory design for every one of our customers, it's going to be unique. No 2 customers will ever look the same. And why is that? Because no 2 customers are the same. Every one of our customers is dealing with unique things inside their industry, inside their own organization. Let's take a look at some examples. If you take a look at the technology stack that sits within 2 different banks today, how much of that is identical? They all have core banking systems. They all have web services. They all have organizational structures that support teams that look at where their customers need them to be, build the services and the apps that they need, operate those services and apps. They all have different go-to-market strategies. There are certainly some common elements, but their particular story, it's going to be unique. One of our customers in Singapore won a Digital Innovation Award at a global level because they launched a bank into India with no infrastructure. They looked at the Indian market and they said, we can build a banking service simply by deploying that service to mobile phones and attacking that market. They outflanked a lot of the existing incumbent banks inside India with that one move. But that bank still has all the same pressures, all the same regulatory concerns, all the same technology requirements that every other bank in the region has. So how do we measure them against looking at one of our largest state-run banks in India? Well, we can see commonalities, but we can also see huge differences. And so the key for CA, when we go in there and we're having these conversations with the customers about the modern software factory, is that we're not going in and saying, you need to buy one of these because this will get you this outcome. Because that's simply not true. What we do need to be going in there and talking to them about is where you're trying to get to, where you're at in your maturity cycle, the journey that needs to take you to the path of fastest, highest quality, most secure execution to realize those business goals, that looks like this. And when we're talking to their competitors, it'll look a little bit the same, but it'll also look quite different. So the whole point of this exercise around advisory, distillery, and insights is to go in and understand their journey, then build tangible, measurable business outcomes from their journey, put that into a backlog of work and say, here's some quick wins. And that moves us into the next part of the story. What does a quick win look like? Let me pause there for a second and reflect on a key point about technology change, and all of us know this. Technology alone does not change a business outcome. You cannot buy a tool and transform your business by just buying the tool. You have to think about people, you have to think about process, and you have to think about the overall organizational models that you're taking those tools into. We all understand that. We've been in this industry for many years, and these basic principles have been in place since the birth of our industry. So we're having to consider those things in conversations with customers. As CA, that's part of our maturing. In the modern software factory conversations, we're not in there talking feature function. We're in there talking business problem, ways to solve the business problem, and how we get there by buying the right tools, addressing the people issues, adapting your processes, and changing your organizational models with the power that the technology can enable. So we focus on three key areas in doing that. We look at the technology services, the actual technical services that we're building with customers. We look at the organizational enablement. How do we equip, train, coach, help drive change processes inside customers to realize the value from those technology services? And then the final thing is success management. That's ongoing. Once we've had that first success with a customer, how do we find the second success? How do we find the third success? How do we make this a continuous process of digital transformation? This enables us to manage a life cycle with customers that's built on their outcomes, based on their needs. You may have noticed in one of the earlier slides that we use the term business imperative. That's linking the customer's business objectives to imperatives. Imperatives have to be done quickly because they are of top priority and there's an element of urgency to them. So what we're trying to do here is, what's your business imperative and how can we help you get there quickly? So quick wins from a CA point of view is not going into a customer and saying, we can run a 2-year transformation process with you that involves a set of different technologies and it's a big lift and shift type of move. That's the old way of thinking. That's the way that customers are used to operating and why so many IT projects over the years have missed the targets, they've blown the budgets, and you've often finished the project and realized that the organization no longer really needs what you were building in the first place. And this is where Agile comes in. What we're looking at here with an Agile methodology is, what's a quick win for you based on this journey that we've defined? And a quick win is something we can do inside 90 days. And that's a golden opportunity from a sales perspective, because when we can go and identify that, automate this piece, put in this digital innovation platform, enable a tool around here to give you deeper insights. When we find those opportunities that we can stand up, prove, and turn on inside 90 days, we then get wins with customers that can establish momentum. So what do these stages look like? Well, I'm going to just give you a few snapshots of the type of artifacts that we produce for customers as part of this process. The first one is the advisory phase, and the advisory phase is really a high-level consulting phase built around big room planning, where we take a look at the customer's current environment and we take a look at their future objectives and we bring these two worlds together. What does the gap look like and how can we help you navigate that? The important thing here to always keep in mind, as I said earlier, is that the customer's already on the journey. Our customers aren't sitting there waiting to begin, they're already in the midst of it. And they're in the midst of it with open source software, they're in the midst of it with multiple vendors' products like ours, they're working with multiple SIs, they've got multiple teams inside their own organizations that are overlapping in functionality and budget constraints and so forth. So part of what we're doing in the advisory phase is looking at all those pieces and seeing how we can map them into a model that helps the customer understand, here's where you're at. The red pieces are things that are urgent, that you need to address quickly, that we have a way to help you with. Perhaps the green pieces are, you're good. You've already got that piece running smoothly. Let's not spend any cycles on that. And the amber might take a look at, this is something we need to look at in 12 months' time. But at the moment, what you're doing works. The great thing about the advisory phase is it's very hands-on and it can be tailored to C-levels or it can be tailored right down into development teams. And we have different approaches depending on who the audience is. So as far as the call to action goes, one of the things that we're looking for is your customer needing the C-level conversation now to talk about, yes, this journey is important, and yes, we need to engage, and yes, we need to bring that level of sponsorship in to drive this? Or are your customers already there? And now what we're talking about is how do we get into their developer teams and take a look at a particular use case or a particular topic? One example might be continuous test. The customer may have already identified the fact that they have opportunity to improve their testing process. Maybe there's too many errors happening in the initial requirements gathering with their business consultants. Maybe they're finding it's very arduous to actually run test cycles with their dev teams. It might take too long to stand up new environments, for example. If they're already at that point, then when we go in to do the advisory stage, we're going in and looking at it from a very technology, process, people-centric approach. One of the outputs that I'm quite excited about with this whole initiative is we've developed a reference framework for understanding the modern software factory. We take a look at all of the components that go on, technology components, third-party components, web services components, process components, organizational components, and we can basically map where a customer is today on each of those components and how the modern software factory can map to that, how it can support change in each of those. And that's the example you see on the screen there. So as part of the advisory phase, when we finish that, we deliver an artifact that gives a customer a health assessment of where do you sit right now. So now we've done the initial consulting activity. The next bit is where it gets complex. And we've called this the distillery phase because the distillery phase is about taking complexity and breaking it down into simplicity for our customers. And we've got a methodology that's been built around identifying all of those moving pieces and then finding patterns in there where we can find those quick wins that builds a backlog of opportunity for the customer to consider. So picture this. We've gone in and we've done a big room planning session with senior executives inside the organization. They've given us the remit to go and tackle a couple of use cases that makes sense for their strategy. We then have detailed sessions with the technologists and the process owners that sit within those particular use cases. And out of that, we spill a current state analysis with a whole lot of moving parts that they need help on solving or help on progressing their journey within. And then from that, we break that down into, here are 4 things that you could start with tomorrow that we could execute inside 90 days. The distillery phase does that piece. So the final phase of the continuous cycle is what we call the insights phase. And to me, this is the one that is really key for establishing that ongoing value realization with our customer. The best way to explain it is to give an example from our Agile Operations Stack. So we spend a lot of time implementing monitoring and analytics tools into customer environments. It's been one of CA's most successful portfolios for many years. And if you think about traditionally how we do that, it looks something like this. We go into a customer's environment and we understand what their requirements are. We instrument dashboards and so forth, and we install the tools, we train them on how to use the tools, and then we leave. And if they need any further help, they can call our support teams if the tool itself is not working. But the question is, do they get full value from the tool? Are they getting true insights that they actually need to run their businesses better? Or are they just using the dashboards as they were delivered? And are those dashboards even the right dashboards or the ones they thought they needed? Now, it depends on each customer. Some customers are very mature and they can get great value from that technology, but a lot of them aren't. And then in a few years' time, when they go back and look at the technology and ask themselves the question, are we getting a lot of value? That conversation can be a difficult one and create a challenging situation for CA. This insights phase is key to shifting that whole pattern, because this insights phase is about, we will establish technology with you, we will help you adapt process, we will help you enable people, and all of it is focused on what are the business imperatives, go back to the advisory phase, that you're trying to solve or trying to achieve. Everything has to keep pointing back to what we're trying to achieve in the advisory phase. So once the tools are implemented, the whole process of designing the implementations and then the whole process of using the tool post-implementation is geared towards, is it achieving what you expect it to achieve? Now, this is a great opportunity for CA because it gives us permission to stay inside that customer account month after month, year after year, with a light touch to give them constant business value, constant insights. And those insights give them the ability to pivot. Those insights give them the ability to adapt and to drive innovation. And you go back to advisory, you take a look at what you've learned, you rerun through distillery, and now you're saying, you know, we thought it was these 6 things that we needed to do, but actually the first 3 make sense, but the next 3 need to change because something's changed in our environment, something's changed in our market, something's changed in the technology. And that's the ongoing process. This is a really exciting opportunity for us because for the first time, we're no longer standing in front of our customers and standing in front of our partners, putting forward to them the notion of buy a better tool from CA. We're now standing in front of them with a thought leadership position and the authority to say, work with CA to drive digital transformation. Work with CA to let us help you realize the power of building a modern software factory that can truly revolutionize your business. We can help our customers build better apps faster. We can help our customers shift security left and be part of a DevSecOps cycle, which they've talked about but not truly being able to realize. We can help them become market leaders in their industry by moving at pace, by innovating, by responding, but not compromising quality, not compromising security in that journey. So there is a call to action here. That call to action is simple. Help us have an opportunity to go in and have this discussion with your customers today. How do we get them to the table? And how do we engage with them on how this can be meaningful for them? We have a process, we have a clear methodology, we have nice artifacts, but more importantly, we have the capability and we have the technology stack today to realize the promise that lies within the modern software factory. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So there you have it. Not only do we have great capability, but we can also deliver it. And this creates a great opportunity for us as a business. Simply stated, the modern software factory meets our customers wherever they are on their journey today, and we can help them get to where they need to get to cross that chasm that we shared with you earlier, quickly, effectively, to put their company back in the driving seat of their business. The modern software factory, therefore, delivers one goal of a superior outcome for every single business. You can start from anywhere, and the important thing is that now everyone can respond to the challenge. Everyone can now start thinking about placing the customer at the center of his or her business, starting today with the CA Modern Software Factory. So in summary, when we think about the modern software factory, we are delivering that very precious agility to each and every one of our customers, helping them through the major areas that they need to focus on, helping them to think about how they maximize the value they're delivering to their customers, improving the speed and quality of how they bring it to market, and ultimately delivering the best experience. And that best experience helps them to consistently deliver business outcomes with digital technologies better than their competitors. What a capability, what a story, what an opportunity, What a moment in time. Let's seize this, let's grab this. The time is now to help transform our customers' business and help them build their modern software factories with CA. Thank you.